Welcome to the news, welcome to the news. What I need to do is make myself two-dimensional once again and become like stacks of paper. When once before I've been three-dimensional, but now I go two-dimensional. And what that entails is becoming a stack of paper and basically dividing that paper in half so that there are two sides to it. And the purpose is to designate two sides of a mentality that needs to entail a front and a back end mindset. When walking through life, it's a necessity. How does that look? What it is that I mean is that you've got to take the front end side and then you've got to look at the back end side and then realize the difference of them. One is like video editing and the other is like taking a video, for example. But at the same time, you're trying to edit the video when you're live in person. So you've got to have kind of a notepad. And when you're live and you're taking a video and you're recording something, that you've got a notepad and that you're editing at the same time. So that in essence, when you're actually editing, unless you're editing, well, you're on location, that in essence, you know what you're going to do if you get back to a computer thereafter. That being said, it's actually ideal to have the editing take place when you are on location. That is actually the ambition in terms of mentioning this right now, because it is so important to acknowledge how it is relevant to take that back-end mindset and merge it with the front-end mindset and almost even try to put it before the front-end mindset, so that if you're gonna even push record on the video camera so that you have a place for that to end up in the editing stack before you even push record, although there's whimsy once you push record and some things happen that are unforeseen once you're actually recording something. So therefore it's relevant to be able to notice those things when you're actually recording, so it's just barely in second place behind actually recording in the first place. But then as a very close second place, almost trying to merge it with the first place, is being able to edit right there on the spot and having the place and contextualization and stack of editing right there in the second place to be able to do the editing or the edits right there on the spot. Oh yeah, but that's an ambition and it's actually difficult to merge that straight away. And it's obviously too difficult to make an edit of something if you haven't actually recorded something to begin with. So, yeah, that's obvious that it has to be in second place just barely though. This is the mindset, acknowledgement of editing notes to be able to try to merge the back end with the front end and be able to edit while on set or on location in theory, to be able to edit just as soon as possibly possible once finished recording something, so that in theory this metaphor translates into doing other back end office work while as soon as possible, while needing to, while if you're at some place and it's necessary and you have correspondence with someone and you're networking, for example, so that you can translate that networking into the back end for filing into the background work, and you actually send emails while you're live if you just get someone's email in the first place, and you don't have to wait until you get to a computer later, until you have to actually send that email at a later time. So that it corresponds to a CRM. This has to do with business music after all. Which is similar to video editing in the first place. So when you're doing the editing and on the set or on the location, in essence, as a metaphor again, you want to conceptualize obviously the thing that needs to be recorded to begin with. And then you want to be able to have that stack in the mindset of what needs to happen in terms of the overall story and how it contextualizes. In terms of business music, it's both. It's relevant for connecting a CRM in terms of business music. That has to do with marketing. Marketing equals business music. In this instance, in this conceptualization, it is the same as video development as well. Film business is a parallel to the Dinky Tehc business, Dinky Tehc and Chase for Game Studios. So what I mean to say is that the best you can hope for always to do something that's a little bit more easy than actually editing something on the spot, which is similar to corresponding and sending at the same time. correspondence while you're standing in front of somebody and you're talking to somebody and you just get their email, or you just do correspondence and you're doing networking because your network equals your net worth. So therefore, it's pretty important to be able to do networking and have your networking equal your net worth and be able to focus on growing a network, but at the same time trying to grow that energy that comes from that network. And when you're networking, be able to do correspondence when you're live. That is sort of ideal. But if you cannot do that, to be able to have a notepad and be able to go ahead and try to do the front end networking, and then have a notepad so that you know how to contextualize them, and you have a stack of emails and they're ready to go, and they're also very importantly, more importantly than anything, very user-friendly notes, so that the stack and the organization looks just the way that you need it to. So if you're sitting at the computer, for example, if you're not going to be able to actually send those correspondences until you get to an actual computer, which is what's more likely anyways with an editing style, that you're not going to be able to actually send those correspondences till later, and therefore that energy from the stack is not going to be able to be realized until you get back to the computer. Oh yeah, if that's the case, if that is the instance, then the next best thing is to actually have a notepad and be able to correspond and organize and prioritize those notes, those communications, those contacts, those itemized interests to correspond to each person and thing while you're live in the scenario, and you're getting distracted by the live aspect of the scenario, and you gotta be able to prepare on the back end to be able to send correspondences on the back end so that it makes sense once you get back to a computer and you can send those correspondences. But those mindsets have to merge. The back end and the front end have to merge as best as possible so that actually you're living in the back end mindset while you're present in the the forefront of the mindset. You're living in the forefront of the mindset, but you're actually living in the back end also. So you're taking and you're sending those emails in a mental sense as well, so that you're organizing and corresponding them in the best sense as possible. And I know it doesn't even seem like it's even possible necessarily, or that likely, or practical to do this necessarily. But if you picture yourself at the computer at the same time as picturing like editing a video while you're on the set, or at the same time, because you can't always just do it that fast, you're using a notepad to be able to edit the video live, because you just take the video, and once you record a video, it then therefore transmits and correlates and corresponds to a back-end purpose and a mindset of why you recorded that video to begin with. So therefore, in the back end, you have a visualization of how it would fit into the stack, which is also correspondence and correlative of how you and why you would take that video to begin with. So therefore, it's like the stack is all the same. The stack is all the same. You have to divide it like paper and live on all three sides, the past, present, and future, while you're doing these motions, so that the correspondence, and also in business music, which means it also corresponds to any sort of a business as a whole, and you're networking and you're trying to grow the business, so that you have three mindsets, the past, present, and future, and you merge them all like paper, like a stack of paper, and you become two-dimensional. Oh yeah. But realistically, we're just trying to simplify it into two sides, the front end and the back end, which in essence is the front end, like the video recording, and in essence the back end, which is the editing. Oh yeah. So to simplify it, you just need a piece of paper, a notepad, so that you're editing while you're on the set. And again, this example can be correlative to networking live, because people are assets, and when you network live with them, it is correlative to developing assets, or growing assets, or trying to grow assets and grow asset energy. And all too often, all too easily, all too frequently, it's very simple to lose track of connections, and those connections therefore are lost. And that therefore connection is not realized, and therefore that connection is not acknowledged and expanded upon at a later time. So it's worth acknowledging this process, because just like taking footage for a video and then not being able to use that video footage because there's not context for it at a later time, it is relevant to make edits while you're on the set taking a video recording. And again, this video recording is just an analogy. Oh yeah, it's a metaphor for being able to try to translate and transmit this process into be able to do this front and back end mindset at the same time. Yeah. So in essence, you want to video record, you want to record videos, and then you want to edit it on the backside. You want to edit it, you want to edit it, you want to edit it on the backside, meaning you want to find contextualization for the people that you're talking to at the beginning to begin with. And then while you're sitting there and you're developing a reason, while you're talking to them at the same time for the context of that connection and that communication, and how networking is like video editing in essence, that you're developing that context and that communication so that you can write that context as well as that contact as soon as you meet them and you finish talking to them, to try to expand on that potential to begin with, so that there's always a symbol and a symbology and a circle that connects to all people and all connections and all that connectivity that would correspond to connecting with individuals as time goes on and doing networking in this way, and doing back-end editing on the back end, on the front end, as soon as possible after the event occurs. Oh yeah, and you're doing editing in life. You're editing your CRM. You're editing your process, your agency, if you will. Everyone has like an agency, if you will. It's a Rolodex of energy and such things to be able to correspond to an overall greater process. And that is very important to acknowledge because, oh yeah, to activate this energy, it's necessary to know where the energy is going to be placed in the wireframes, and that wireframe is the greater engine, like I talked about yesterday. So this has to do with yesterday, but it's also correlative to the greater interest of developing a greater engine process, and there's little engines within that engine. Obviously a greater engine, a bigger engine, obviously, because it all has to be energized. It all has to be electricity. It all has to have polarity to be able to conduct electricity. So every little piece of the puzzle, every little piece of the organization, every little piece of the flow of the energy of the existence of the asset organization process and entrepreneurship process has to be electrified. And to keep that electrified, you have to have context for it, a piece for the puzzle, and a reason for the piece to be in the puzzle to begin with. Oh yeah, it's got to have a context to begin with. To be there, yeah, that's what gives it the energy and the electricity to be a part of the puzzle, oh yeah, a part of the picture, oh yeah. It's got that purpose that it serves as part of the picture and the puzzle, oh yeah. Woo-hoo. And so the minimum, the best you could hope for is to actually send correspondence and send correlated purpose for the correspondence when you're live with the person as soon as you meet them. If possible, try to do it as soon as possible at all given times and get really refining good at this so that the CRM that you have, which means a customer retention management system, gets as tight as possible. Oh yeah, because you always have the best, the most fresh data that's always the most fresh at all given times because you lose it every given second that you walk away from that interaction. And once you realize this importance of the nature of doing it and tightening it up as best as possible, as fast as possible, as close as possible, it makes it merge as best as possible the experiences so that the energy is as tight as possible and it's as close to the core of the purpose of the energy happening to begin with that is possible. Just like taking a video that's part of a greater movie and then factoring it in by actually editing it while on set. If you could be on set live and then you actually take a video record, a certain shot for a movie, and then you have it the stack present in terms in the live sense, and then you're able to factor it in to being able to edit it live. It obviously has the most power, the most energy, the most purpose if you're live on set and you edit that with the rest of the movie when you're live. But if not, if you can't do that, the second best thing you can do to be able to put it off into the wild further down the line is to be able to do the most efficient editing notes possible so that you are actually in your mind sitting at your computer so that in essence you have that visualization of the CRM or of the whole video or of the whole movie so that you have the whole stack in mind and that whole stack exists at the same time, in the same place, at the same time, and it's facilitated, oh yeah, by the present moment. The present moment is facilitating the whole stack. The whole stack is being facilitated at the present time, and all those three pieces of paper, the past, present, and the future, are able to merge as one. So you become two-dimensional for a short time, and then you become three-dimensional again once you glue all those pieces back together and you become yourself again. Oh yeah. But it's necessary to at least just make those into two layers of paper, the front end, which is video editing, and the back end, which is the note taking. It's the at least you want to note take. Oh yeah, if you can't actually edit live while on set, which is common, it's very common, it's very ideal to at least have notes to take. So it's in both instances, just to repeat and correlate the example one more time, it's to develop a metaphor between video editing while on set by just using a little bit of notes and notepads to be able to make it simple and simplify the process, so that when you're sitting at a computer, it's way more simplified and it's way more efficient. You merge with the video recording process while you're live on the back end by having very, 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 very illustrated notes for the corresponding reasons why that fits where it fits, and therefore you can do it very fast, almost like you edited it on set when you actually get back to a computer. For example, when you have those notes correct, the notes have to be correct, the style and the format and the flow of the notes have to actually be correct for the flow of your eyes and your mindset and your vibes, so that you get to flow with that as soon as you sit down on the computer and it's done. It's already done, it's like it's done because it's already organized in its stack, and most of the front end work is actually done. Oh yeah, done. And the same with your CRM, the same with talking to people and interacting with people live. You have their correspondence, you have their connection, you have their contact info, and you actually send them correspondence and info that's as fleshed out and best as possible to be able to correlate and correspond to the reason of how they fit into your greater purpose and engine and how they could fit into that. And it's hypothetical to begin with as stage one of knowing somebody for the first time and be able to connect for the first time. Oh yeah. And I'll just use that to be able to segue and transition to be able to talk about how I've been having a first mentor of my life, necessarily. One that's in person is what I mean by that. Oh yeah. But other than that, I've had many mentors over the years. Yes, Gary Vaynerchuk and the Daily V is one of them. It's a really worthwhile example to acknowledge how he and that video vlog has been a mentor to me for sure in terms of marketing. Just grassroots a long time ago, like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Oh yeah, to begin with. Oh yeah, that's why I was a little bit of a mentor, but obviously not the same as something in person. Oh yeah, and all people that you actually connect with. Oh yeah, are also mentors. Oh yeah, and also the word mentor is a correlation and correspondence to be able to make all people that you meet and connect with into mentors. Also, because it's energy that's shared. Yeah, there's always something to be picked up. There's always something to be processed. Oh yeah, and that's what's the purpose of connecting and merging these mindsets of the mental sense to one the front end and the back end sense by editing notes when you're live in the first place. Oh yeah, when you're meeting them to be able to develop that greater correspondence so that depth grows into multi-layers of paper. Although you just want to stack it into two mindsets, the front and the back end mindset, so that it's easy to be able to manage that mindset. Oh yeah, as time goes on. Oh yeah, you got to be able to manage that mindset, and you want to merge the front and the back end so that you become the greatest, most full person and process and energy pipeline process of yourself that you possibly can be, and that are your little internal marketing agency, if you will, your little internal agency of people that is like a brokerage to different pipelines of potential energy in the world. Oh yeah, it can merge because you're seeing and you're realizing and you're talking about it and you're effectively editing while you're on the set at the same time as a metaphor, because it just is that way when you use those editing notes correctly, and you got to do it as soon, as close as to the time as possible as when you're realizing it. Very similar to waking up from a dream and being able to write that dream down the second, the instant, the millisecond that you wake up, so that it's the closest to the bone from actually happening. Oh yeah, and it's freshest and it's most real, and that realization of that dream becomes real and lasts real in reality as time goes on, as opposed to wafting away and drifting away like a little bit of smoke. Oh yeah, not like that at all, not like that at all, not like that at all. Oh yeah, and the kicker, the end of this little podcast is talking about today, we also developed like a new skateboard, which in essence is like, I don't know, like the material from a penny board, which is like a different composite to be able to make the board more bouncy. Oh yeah, and just like in a surfboard, there would be 3 metal stringers that are actually like springs in the back, so that it springs like pops like little metal springs, like if you had little metal stringers, so that makes little springs. Oh yeah, and then we would also put springs into the trucks. Oh yeah, and that composite. Oh yeah, to be able to develop crazy amounts of pop. So hopefully, yeah, the pop is nuts, and it's real high ollies can result from skateboarding with our skateboard, like I was talking about today, that making this kind of skateboard that seems conceptually easy, not easy, but developable by having the right parts and the pieces and the places and the right mechanical engineering and mechanical mechanisms to be able in the right place. Talking about energy in line. Oh yeah, we're just going to put that hypothetical energy out there. Oh, to end this podcast. Thanks again for now. Talk to you later. Maybe, hopefully, I don't know, about that part of the skateboard consideration, concept, conceptualization. Anyways, thanks again. Yeah. Dinky Tehc. Bye. Peace.